Hey friends, welcome to another Monday morning, another Monday Motivation, week 9 of hashtag BeatUpFit. Remember, use the hashtag BeatUpFit on your social medias. If you're watching this the day it releases, then you've got today's video and just today to enter the February giveaway so you can win prizes by leaving the hashtag BeatUpFit in a YouTube comment on every video I released in February and one positive thing you did for yourself that day. Also, if you want to win tickets to ICCCon, go back to the big winner from earlier in the month and tell me your goal by May. I want to give all that stuff away. We will be announcing those giveaway winners later this week as you're watching it. So let's get to the quote. Today's quote is by Chuck Swindoll, American pastor, evangelical, influential. And the quote is, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it, how you respond to it. 10% what happens to you and 90% how you treat it. Now, I think we all understand that. It's a concept I teach and I use in my leadership at work frequently. In my line of work, I'm an operations director. I've got employees in the majority of the states across the country, some 400 plus employees all over the country doing all sorts of things for our customer. And when you have that many employees, you're just going to deal with a lot of interesting things, most of which are going to be beyond your control, nothing you could have done. And you're just going to have to be reactive a lot of the time. One of the things that we're focusing on as a management team right now is from the strategic side is how do we get more proactive and less reactive? You'll hear that a lot in business, in management, in life. When you're trying to do things, you want to be more proactive than reactive. The reality is sometimes you just can't be, especially the last couple of years with everything that's happened. Being in operations management, there was no choice but to react. Things were changing so rapidly, there was no way to really be prepared for everything that happened. And so we had to react. Again, life is 10% what happens, 90% how you react to it. One of the things I'm the most proud of my team is we were able to really navigate a lot of the challenges that happened over the last few years with minimal impact to our business, to employee bases, to people's livelihoods, and I'm very proud of that. And a lot of that's because we were able to react in the correct way and partner with the different people, the different groups that we had to partner with and work toward a common goal. It could have gone very differently. We could have reacted very differently and ended up with a much different outcome. But for the sake of what we're talking about for all of us and our personal wellness journeys, health journeys, whatever they are, there's just going to be things you can't control. You just can't control. This week specifically, within my family, we've got some things that we have to navigate through that we weren't planning on, and it just changes your weekend, for instance, and what you thought your plans were going to be becomes something else. How do you react to that? Do you let that control you? Do you let that make things different than they used to be? All of us can learn how to react better. All of us can try to become more proactive, but all of us need to learn how to react better. So in our journey, when your best laid plans don't go the way that you thought they were going to go, when you encounter something that's different than you thought you were going to encounter, how do you react? That is what life really is. That is what life really is. If you take the same set of circumstances and put them in front of 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different courses, 10 different plots of life they're going to go down because they react and they respond 10 different ways. What's the way you're going to react? And what I would encourage you is, don't ever get too high. Don't ever get too low. Remember, we don't want to ride this motorcycle or this roller coaster. We don't want to be up and down the mountain and the valley. Nothing is ever quite as bad as it seems at the time, and nothing is ever quite as good as it seems at the time. And I'm a optimistic person, but that's just the reality, right? The worst days of work a month from now, you don't even remember. Like, they have very little impact. But right before the pandemic started, myself and my team, we were very busy in those first couple months of 2020. And we were never sure how we were ever going to get all that done. And it all seemed so important. Now, All that stuff got dropped, obviously, when the pandemic happened and all the different challenges that presented. And I'm not sure that we've ever come back to any of those things, nor has anyone asked us to. But they seemed so important at the time. They seemed so important, but then they weren't anymore. So when events happen, when the things happen to you, just remember, nothing is quite as bad as it seems. Nothing is quite as good as it seems. What does matter is your reaction. And that's what you can control. The greatest thing about this is when all these circumstances happen, when we face things that are outside of our control, the thing we can control is our reaction. So when you get that bit of bad news, how do you respond? How do you carry yourself? Are you somebody that can help lead the people that need to be led through that? Or are you somebody that crumbles and falls apart? When you're trying real hard to stay away from alcohol and you're at an event, somebody presents you with a beer. You can't control that you got presented with that necessarily, but you can react to what you're going to do with that. Or when you're trying to stay away from cigarettes, but then something at work becomes really stressful. Do you decide you're going to go have a cigarette, or do you find a different outlet? Whatever that thing is for you, whatever it is for me, all of us have a stress thing. Stress eating, stress drinking, stress smoking, stress binge watching, stress something. And that something usually is not the greatest habit, or it's a habit we'd like to do less of, or whatever the case may be. The next time that happens, choose to react differently, because that's what we have control over. Life is 10% what happens, 90% how we react to it. Think about that this week. Hoping for a good week. Again, we'll wrap up our second full month. We'll get into March. We'll get to a new set of giveaways that I'll announce later this week, as well as the giveaway winners for February, which hopefully you all enter and win. Thanks for joining. We are 2 months into this. 2 months into it. Coming up on 25% of the way through the year, believe it or not. How are you doing on your goals? February was rough for me at times. Had a good week this week, bounced back. Got to keep going forward. Still plenty of goals within reach, and I want to achieve them. So how are you doing on your goals? Let me know in the comments. We'll talk to you next time.